Brigadier General Willard Pearson takes over command of the Screaming Eagles on the 29th of January, 1966.
The Vietnam War. On the 7th of May, 1954, Viet Minh forces defeat French troops in the Battle of Dien Bien Phu. French colonialization comes to an end. On June 1st, 1954, the Saigon military mission, a covert operation to conduct psychological warfare and paramilitary activities, are launched in South Vietnam under the command of U.S. Air Force Colonel Edward Lansdale. This marks the beginning of the Vietnam War.
My name is William Sims. In Vietnam, 65 to 66. I was a rifleman, the 101st Airborne Infantry Division, point man. My job was to lead company on missions. I led the company with shades on. I broke my glasses when I first got there. Never did get them replaced. Myself and the colonel was the only ones that was allowed to wear shades in the company area. I had a E7 that thought that it was ironic that I was the only one that was able to wear shades in the area, so he assigned me to be the point man. My first experience was to pull an ambush at nighttime. Well, understanding that I felt that coming from a religious family, I was baptized twice in Indiana. Once in Indiana, once in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. My third time of being baptized was in Vietnam. That's where I became a man. I led my platoon through a number of conflicts until I was wounded. The day I was wounded, I was waiting to go on R&R. They came back and got me because they had some action up front and they needed every able-bodied individual. So when I first got back, I ran into about 6 recruits from out east. All of them were black. The lieutenant told me to take the group to outside on the left flank. There were some bushes, and one of the white boys in back of me was so anxious to show that he had courage that he broke through the bushes. I followed him. I was right on his heels. As soon as he hit the bush, he got hit. I yelled back to the lieutenant that we're receiving fire on the left flank. When I said that, everything seemed to open up. I ended up, at that time, Viet Cong threw a grenade, which bounced, and I saw it coming. When I hit the ground, it bounced past my head, and it landed next to my leg and blew my leg up to where It raised off the ground about a foot. Well, when I looked back, I thought maybe I had lost my leg, but I hadn't. But my weapon had jammed. I got up, I pulled myself upright, and I'm going for cover. On the way to me going for cover, I seen my lieutenant laying there with both of his legs broke from gunfire. I grabbed him by the collar, pulled him 20 yards, put him into a hole that was dug, cocked his .45, put it in his hand, told him that, "You're on your own, Lieutenant." When I turned around, the machine gunner was being raked up the side. He died right there. I went, threw his body off the machine gun, cleaned it out with my elbow, and commenced trying to fire it. It didn't work the first time. So I went through my training, cleaned it out again. Second time, it did work. By that time, it was 2 Viet Congs coming around the side. I fired at them up into the bush. I secured the left flank, and I stayed there, it seemed like, for hours, and I watched planes come over, bombing this hill. When I got evacuated, when they was taking me out, I was looking down at all this fire that was going on. And I asked pilot, how long had it been since all this action had started? He said, from the time that you guys had gotten here to the time I picked you up, it was less than an hour. I thought it was days.
From 1962 to 1971, the U.S. Air Force sprayed nearly 19 million gallons of herbicide in Vietnam in the military project called Operation Ranch Hand. At least 11 million gallons was Agent Orange.
Absolutely. Every veteran that served in Vietnam has been affected by Agent Orange, whether they know it or not.
Because my training came from the VA directly. And, you know, working with the Department of Veterans Affairs, that's a state agency. And it was good working there. You know, I had like thousands of cases, but it was okay because I can handle it. You know, I can only do so much anyway. Just let me say this about the Agent Orange. Agent Orange is one of the things that's been killing our veterans for ever since the war started. They got prostate cancer. They got ischemic heart problems. They got about, if you read that list, it's about the Lou Gehrig's disease. Now, you get Lou Gehrig's disease because of Vietnam going to serve. You dead. I mean, it ain't no, you get Lou Gehrig's disease, it ain't no coming back from that. They might be able to help you with prostate cancer, some of these soft tissue cancers that you get because that Agent Orange, people don't really understand that our veterans my age and some younger, and the fact that they got prostate cancer and they got this, I be saying, damn, I am glad I didn't go, and I'm glad that the Creator put me in a position where I can help these brothers when they got back.
First Air Cavalry Division in An Vietnam in the Central Highlands in 66 and 67. The average age of a warrior throughout recorded history is 19 years old. And as a 19-year-old, you don't know about life yet, you know, and experiences like we had in Vietnam. And so, as a child, with a child's heart, I was forced to be a man, sent to fight as part of somebody else's plan, forced to make the choice who'd live and who would die, made to take a life, not told the reason why. With a child's heart, I faced a sad reality. I became someone I didn't choose to be. Never knowing if I'd live another day, I would often get down on my knees to pray. With a child's heart, I tried to justify my acts. I closed my eyes to vicious deeds and simple facts. As a child, I loved to laugh, to run and play. My child's heart was changed in many, many ways. Now a man, I find that lessons from my past robbed me of that child, but memories still last. So when the Army came, recruiting on that day, I wish that child had turned around and run away. You see, my issues are mostly psychological. I feel like my country turned its back on me. In every other war, there were ticker tape parades. People came back as heroes. We came back in silence as baby killers. You know, there was no glory in what we did. And society showed us that once we got back here. I went to the VA, and they belittled everything that I said, everything that I experienced. You know, the Agent Orange. I had to fight for 5 years before I was recognized for the things that happened to me and that I did to other people. And so I was very discouraged. I had to go through psychological evaluations and treatments, and I was very aggressive as a result of that. And so I had good jobs. I worked for the government. But if my supervisor yelled at me, you know, I studied fighting. My supervisor yelled at me, I'd tell him, dude, you wouldn't talk to me like that in the parking lot. Well, now I'm off to another job. You know, I worked as an insurance consultant. I worked as a heavy equipment operator. I worked as a bus driver. I worked as the police. Well, the police was the last straw because, you know, I did forensics, pictures of the dead, fingerprinted dead, and all that. And all that brought me right back to Vietnam. And so my full circle is that I don't have any good memories or any good experiences, you know, with what happened to me when I came back. I had to fight tooth and nail to get to where I am today. And I'm still not healed.
I have no words for the humiliation and the hurt that I feel in my heart for what they've done to me and my family and my brothers, my fellow veterans. Veterans Day is a day of sadness for me, of mourning for what I saw and felt and what other veterans have gone through. I don't know what else to say with reference to VA and Department of Veterans Affairs and the many doctors that I've dealt with. All of the doctors some that I dealt with that tried to help us, veterans, were discharged from the VA. They lost their jobs as a result of that. The doctor that taught me everything that I know about post-traumatic stress disorder so I could continue to study the disease, Dr. Sheldon Chicks, they fired him from the VA for helping us. He told me once, he said, Lamont, I have numerous veterans that are paralyzed from the neck down as a result of post-traumatic stress disorder. I said, well, why, Doc? He said, it's because of a disease called peripheral neuropathy. Peripheral neuropathy is a disease that's developed as a result of an overflow of the nervous system, the central nervous system, out of your abdomen. Once the central nervous system can't hold your stress anymore, there's nowhere for it to go but up through your spine. It goes from your spine to your brain stem. When it reaches your brain stem, there's nowhere else for it to go but back down your spine. He said, Lamont, it crushes the spine. 1,000 pounds per square inch of stress that comes down through your body. All you have to do is go out to the VA and see all of the veterans in wheelchairs, walking with canes and crutches and walkers. It's absolutely pathetic. And they have no idea why they're going through all of these debilitating problems. And it's because of the post-traumatic stress.
I'm here with Jim Copeland, an original member and founding member of the National Association of Black Veterans, or the organization that preceded it, the Interested Veterans of Central City.
Okay, I graduated from North Division High here in Milwaukee, and I went into service about 60 days after I graduated. Then I got switched to 3 or 4 jobs in the Army. I wound up finally being in intelligence and operation for a transport aircraft. Luckily, this was at the end of my tour. I got out prior to the events in Vietnam starting up. In fact, when I came home, they were then sending Marines to Vietnam. And I came home and it went through, and I'm talking to my buddies, and I found out a lot of them did not know the benefits that the VA were offering. And what was common perception at that time was the VA was catching everybody coming out the service and telling them what they had coming, but none of us were sat down and told it. All we got was a re-enlistment talk. So we started talking to guys and say, hey man, do you know you have these things coming from the VA? So we're trying to get people, particularly minority veterans, involved in, hey, you got some benefits coming, you just got to file for them. One of the guys, Jerry Berry, had met a Marine Corps veteran who had got injured in Vietnam and was not in medical. So we, about 10 or 12 of us, went down to the VA, said, hey, how come he's not getting his benefit? And we got into a conversation with them. And then they started telling us about, well, we don't know where veterans are, particularly minority veterans. We said, wait a minute. We know where they are because we see them every day. We go to the same bar, we go to the same use us as a conduit to deal with these veterans. And it started the conversation about get organized. By that time, we started getting tied into other individuals like Tom Wynn, Crowcroft, Bob Crowcroft, there was Oscar Bond, and we started forming a nucleus. And through those interviews and those individuals, we got tied into senator from Wisconsin, who was Senator Nelson. We made an appeal to his office saying, look, minority veterans aren't getting all their benefits. The system is passing over them. We would like to sit down and talk to you. We had to sit down with him, talking about forming an organization that would deal with minority veterans here in Milwaukee. The Social Development Commission found out, they started saying, hey, you guys need to sit down with the mayor, who was Mayor Meyer at the time. We sat down with him, and he was the head of the National League of Cities. And the National League of Cities had started a program under the CETA where they were giving veterans preference for jobs. So he started pushing, the pressure points along the system using people with those contacts. Tom Wynn, and it was great help with us dealing with UWM. The next thing, we went back to Senator Nelson's office. Or could you help us with the funding of a project that we have in mind, which is called Project Where? And we, that was welfare, housing, employment, rehabilitation, and economics. So they said, let us look around. And then we got tied into the Department of Labor, who said, we think this is a good project. Let's see what we can do. So we wrote a proposal from the Department of Labor for Project Where. We also got funding here in the state of Wisconsin under the Council on Criminal Justice, because we were saying a lot of the attorney vets have run afoul of the law. And we think we can rehabilitate them, put an end to them getting rolled over by the system. And one thing that kind of shocked us too, well, it shocked me, I can't speak for all of the guys, when we found out about the bad paper. Guys was taking discharges and they weren't aware of what that meant. If you didn't get honorable or under honorable conditions, if you took another type, you got no VA benefit. We started looking at it and say, wait a minute. And we found out they weren't being told. The VA, it wasn't the VA, the military wasn't telling them, if you take this kind of discharge, you will not get no VA benefits. And then we start writing and talking to people about, hey, this bad paper, something's got to change. Because a lot of the cases we looked at, it wasn't like the guy, or there's a couple of women who committed a crime. It's just that they couldn't adapt to the military system. And so when the military, kind of released them, they had them sign off on this discharge, which the people didn't know prevented them from getting benefits.
That bad paper really is referring to other than honorable discharge from the military. And if a veteran gets other than honorable discharge, then his benefits are forfeited until he's able to go through getting his discharge upgraded through the Department of Defense. In some instances, a veteran can go before the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. They give him a chance to explain the facts and circumstances surrounding his other than honorable discharge. And if he's able to convince him, and about 70, 80% of the times that we took veterans to a hearing, we was able to at least secure his benefits, because the only thing that the VA could do is find a veteran honorable for VA purposes. They couldn't actually upgrade his discharge that he got from the military to honorable. So, there's some ramifications. If you don't have an honorable discharge, there are other benefits that cause you to have honorable discharge, like state benefits and county benefits and other certain benefits that you can't get unless you had a actually honorable discharge. I've been around for about 50 some years, and most of my adult life has been helping veterans, because I worked for the Department of Veterans Affairs for about 38 aggregated years. I retired from there in 2010. 2011, I went and started working for the Center for Veterans Issues, basically carrying on that tradition that we had, NAVET had, and that's what helping veterans secure their benefits from the VA. National Association for Black Veterans have helped thousands of veterans. I mean, literally thousands of them. I mean, we done been to court with them. When we first started out with interested veterans of the Central City, we was dealing with a lot of angry, young Vietnam War combat veterans that wanted to, kill a brick. They wanted to do something. They was pissed off. They was mad. We needed that energy, but we needed to be able to channel that energy into something whereby we could actually get the things that we were trying to get. And that was exposure, trying to let everybody know that Vietnam veterans in particular, the ones that did the fighting, was getting other than honorable discharges, coming out of the boonies. I heard so many of those stories, and I had to help them convey that to the VA in order for them to get their benefits.